Hey everyone, Conrad Neufeld here, and today we're going to be reviewing bad real estate photos. I've had a few people reach out to me and say, hey, you know what, you should do one of these, they're pretty fun to do, and since my channel is relatively small anyway, I'm going to have some fun with it. Now, I'm not one for long introductions, so let's just get into it. Oh wow. Yeah, I'm not quite sure if that's for animals or if that's for a child. I mean, I'm torn. Part of me hopes it's for animals because then some poor child isn't living in that. But if it is animals, that raises all sorts of questions, particularly since that floor looks like carpet. You know, that's going to be all sorts of disgusting. Not exactly the image that you want to send to people when trying to sell your home. This one isn't even that bad. I mean, yeah, it's super tacky, but I mean, someone could walk in there, see a coat of paint, we'll fix it all. I mean, that one shouldn't have a problem selling, but yeah, that is, I don't want to stereotype, but that's got to be some old people living in that house. Wow, that's a lot of yellow. I mean, this person clearly knows what they like, but yeah, what's with all the statues? I mean, they got 1, 2, 3, at least 4 statues in there. I mean, I guess whatever floats your boat, but usually when you're trying to sell a place, you're trying to package it up so someone else can imagine themselves living there. And I do not imagine myself living there based on that photo. Why do you need 3 toilets? I don't understand that. What's even worse is if we got 2 toilet rungs. See, this is how I know this is a COVID photo, because you've got 2 toilet paper holders, but only enough toilet paper to go around for 1 holder. That's going to age this photo. But seriously, what do you need 3? And they're not even like spread out either. They're like right beside each other. Like if you're sitting on any 2 of those toilets, you know, you're going to be bumping knees with whoever else is using it. I just don't get and 2 sinks, you know, so you're going to have to take turns washing your hands, but going at the same time is totally acceptable in that household. Wow. That is a lot of carpet, and oh, they got the mirror on top too. That's just gross for so many reasons. This actually reminds me of a listing that I had worked on the financing side about 8-9 years ago. A client of mine was buying this place, and the appraiser went through and noticed 4 load-bearing anchors in one of the bedrooms. So of course the appraiser notes the oddity and says, you know, 4 load-bearing anchors in the bedroom, don't know what they're for. So obviously the buyers are like, well, I mean, the appraiser has noted this oddity. We want to make sure that we know why they were there, because maybe there's like a pretty sound reason as to why they're there, and we should know if we're going to be purchasing this place. And to make a long story short, the answer finally came back that these 4 load-bearing anchors in that bedroom were for a sex swing. Now, I mean, if that's something on its own, but the floor in that bedroom was carpet. So I'm looking at this one, I'm seeing, you know, a mirror on the ceiling, I'm seeing some carpets on the floor, getting a little PTSD from that. I'm thinking that whoever buys this place, I would highly recommend you take out the carpet on that flooring. Yeah, wow. Jeez. See, I look at something like this, and yeah, it's a whole lot of red. It is ugly AF. There is no doubt about that. But I mean, look at it. It's tile. Like all of those little pieces. Those are little pieces of tile. That would have taken so long to do. Like this isn't something that someone's like, I'm going to take a shortcut and I'm just going to save a lot of money and I'm just going to do a quick fix. No, like someone actually had to spend some time and quite a bit of money probably to do this. I mean, although like the quality of the tile laying doesn't look like it was professionally done, particularly around like the edges, the corners there, you know, on the steps. But I mean, even if they did it themselves, I mean, that's still a tremendous amount of time. I don't know. That is a whole lot of ugly for a lot of effort and probably a lot of money. I mean, anytime you do a renovation to a house or try to fix it or update it or whatever, you should always consider the resale value of the place for when you eventually go to list it, whether it be 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 15 years from now, because a lot of research has shown that not every dollar you put into a renovation for a bathroom, you don't see it all back. I mean, typically you see somewhere between 50 to 60 cents of every dollar that you put into a bathroom renovation. So, just keep that in mind if you're ever doing bathroom renovations, that you may eventually want to sell it, and not everyone may have your taste. But if you're planning on living in it for decades and you're like, screw it, this is my house, I want to do whatever I want, like clearly this person did. I mean, power to you. I mean, good job. Oh man, yeah. I mean, that's a bad real estate photo, but it's got such a creep factor to it. I mean, I like how the real estate agent clearly positioned the two mirrors to make it look like the room was bigger. Like, it's a common technique where you'll position mirrors to kind of give some extra depth and stuff like that. So, I mean, at least kudos to that. But, I mean, you can tell that whatever family this was living in here was clearly a smoker by the condition of the walls. So there's some very clear and present smoke damage. But not only that, they were likely religious because they had a crucifix, or at least a cross, hanging on their wall. And of course, the drywall behind that crucifix remained relatively untouched from the smoker's smoke. So it just leaves this really creepy, exorcist type feel to the whole photo. And I don't get the whole two TVs on the side thing. I'm thinking that maybe, they stacked them up there to try to have a less conspicuous way of holding the windows open, like the drapes on the windows open to let some natural light in. But, I mean, yeah, there's a whole lot going on with that one. Man, more clip art. I mean, that is so tacky. They gotta stop doing that. And not only that, they didn't even make it match. Like, they got 1, 2, 3, 4 different patterns on their couches that they put in there. Like, that is just, I mean, if you're gonna use clip art, man, at least use the same texturing. That's terrible. Okay, this one isn't even that bad. I mean, yeah, it's clearly a small place. They got the bedroom, and with that TV, I assume means that they're now in the living room. The kitchen table in the back means that it's now a dining room rather, and then they got the kitchen just over here. So it's small, obviously, but it's a good use of space. Believe it or not, there is a massively rising trend in both Hong Kong and Vancouver, so the number 1 and number 2 most expensive cities in the world to purchase, called micro apartments. And the apartments are only like 300 to like 450 square feet. And this is very similar to what you'd see in those apartments. And they sell like hotcakes in those markets. So, this isn't that bad. The only thing that would be different in those micro apartments is that these beds would actually be hideaways and tuck into the wall. Some of them use the space really, really well. So I get why this one is in the list of bad real estate photos, but I just think it's a really good use of space and probably a market that's expensive to buy in. Okay, so this one, my first thought is that crapper is on a whole other level. Yeah, obviously they're trying to do the same thing and make a good use of space, but it just, I don't know what led them to make the decisions that they made to put themselves in this situation, but that the resale value on that, I imagine, is not going to be high. Wow, well this one's antiquated. I mean, if you don't feel like royalty in that bathroom, I don't know which bathroom will make you feel like royalty. That's, clearly someone has their taste. I don't get though what's on the tub. Is that like a covering of some kind? Almost like a pool covering, except a much more elaborate tub covering? I don't get it. Is that something you remove, or is that just the tub? Or do you sit in that? Oh, I can't imagine the bacteria that's on there if you're sitting on that. That would actually be pretty nasty. Okay, so yeah, how we were talking about micro apartments? I mean, evidently they've got some space issues and they're trying to make best use of those, of that space. But I will tell you, even in the micro apartments, they would never put the crapper beside the stove. That is, that's just so gross. I would never eat at that person's house. Oh, that's so gross. In fact, they don't even have the sink first. It's the toilet, then the oven, then the sink. You could have at least flipped it so that there was at least some divide thematically, right? Because you could have went to the sink and been like, oh, now I'm in the kitchen. But That's wrong on so many levels. What's wrong with this one though? Oh, they've got 3 toilet paper holders. I mean, that's not the worst thing in the world, but like, why do you need 3? I mean, you got triple the 2-ply. I mean, this person, whoever owned this house, was well prepared for COVID. Like in those early days with the great toilet paper shortage of 2020. I mean, people make fun of people preparing for zombie apocalypses, but this guy was like pandemic ready. I mean, that's ready on a whole other level. In fact, I'm going to say I'm impressed by this guy. He saw the whole thing coming. Oh, that one's terrible. I mean, the caption that goes with it's kind of funny. It says, "Tragically, this is what happens when a Smurf bursts." So that's pretty funny. But I am guessing that this is, well, it definitely wasn't by accident. You can even see on like the bottom there, bottom left, that there's some writing on the wall. It looks like someone tried to draw a face. My guess is that this is a scorned landlord trying to sell his place after whatever tenants moved out destroyed it. Which, I mean, is unfortunately a lot more common than you'd think. But that's my guess here is, you know, this was a rental, tenants moved out or were evicted or whatever and decided, yeah, we're going to teach that guy a lesson or something. Or maybe they weren't even provoked. They just decided we're going to destroy this place and pack our bags and leave at 2 in the morning. I don't know, but it's unfortunate, but I think that's what happened there. Yeah, so they didn't even try on this one. So, you know how I said there's clip art and you should never do clip art? I think in this case they definitely should have done clip art. I'm just kidding. It looks like a jail cell. Like, once again, real estate agents are supposed to make it feel like you could be living there. I mean, unless the last place that you lived in was like a provincial or state prison, I have no idea why this would be considered an appealing picture. I mean, maybe it's in a low-income environment. I mean, I'm assuming it's in a low-income environment, and therefore they didn't want to load it up with a lot of like items to make it look nice or whatever, because I thought, heck, why not? But I mean, you got to do something. That's crazy. Thanks for watching. I hope you had as much fun as I did. If you're new to the channel and you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe, hit the bell notification so you're alerted when new videos come out, including some of the educational ones that we've already been rolling out, and liking and sharing this one.